Okay, so let's open the meeting for the
Recording in progress.
Fayston Selectboard on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 at the Robert Vassar Town Hall. The meeting is also available via Zoom, and I don't see that we've got anybody on Zoom. So first item on the agenda is to approve the Select Board meeting minutes of March 25th. Did everybody get a chance to read those? And
Did?
Yep. Any comments, questions, changes?
All good.
We get a motion to accept the minutes?
I'd make a motion to accept the minutes.
All right, Mike?
I'll second.
Ron, second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, I guess it's unanimous. And I will sign those minutes. And 4-8, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, any additions or deletions to the agenda? No. Okay, seeing none, we move to public comments. Any members of the public want to make any comments?
I'm right here. Okay. The road, Tucker Hill Road. I live on Tucker Hill Road and we've had another winter which has been pretty dismal there. But first I must thank the road crew. They've done a wonderful job with the materials they've had to work with, doing their best. So they've done a great job and graded it more often than I think they have in the past. So it's been, in my view, they did a good job there. But it still was impassable on quite a few numbers of days. Many of our folks were parking cars at various places down in town and walking down and that sort of thing to be able to go to work or whatever they could do to do that. I've been in a difficult position though. My wife became very ill, had a stroke last year, and she can't really walk on her own, so I can't really go down and I'm likely to get stuck, so we've had a bit of an issue with that. We did try it one time, and we took care to do it. So we did miss a couple of appointments, doctor's appointments, a scan and so on. And normally you say, well, okay, you miss it, you just get another one. Not these days. You go to the back of the queue practically to actually get another appointment. So that's not healthy, should we say, for her. So that was pretty bad from that perspective, but it was happened on 3 occasions for my wife's appointments. For myself, I had one down in town. So I walked, and it was closed, everybody was walking up and down, so I had a chance to meet neighbours, which was great, but I had to do a 5-mile round trip downtown for my doctor's appointment, which I just could not miss that one. So that's a bit of a hassle of mine. You still walk back up again and so on. So I raise it as if we can start thinking about fixing some of the really bad spots, and I think some of the other folks on the road will let you their thoughts known as well about it, and the difficulties they've had, and everyone's got their trials and tribulations, I guess. So I wonder if we could start looking at maybe some of the difficult spots that I think the road crew know where they probably are. There's a couple near the Gion's house, just at that top there, it builds a swale. And just as I was walking back up the hill, the delivery guy on the post office vans came along, and he kind of got stuck on the swale, and that was it. He was stuck. Well, he got out of it in the end, but so it was difficult for him, and the cars couldn't get through it either that day as well. So it's pretty bad. At that point, and there's 2 sections of that which are pretty, and they're not long, particularly long sections, but just coming down the hill to today, it's we got 8-10-inch foot ruts in those sections. Again, even today, I have no idea what the other roads are like, but they're quite good. I don't know whether it's anything to do with the use of the road, but we had a logging thing. I'm probably sure you're all aware of the logging that went on up there. Mm-hmm. Being housebound, area bound, shall we say, and I was walking the road a lot, in the garden a lot during the time. There was, first of all, also the heavy equipment's going up there. Quite a bit of really heavy equipment going up in the logging stuff. And then they put down rock, and for every 20 minutes or so, between 30 minutes thereabouts, a massive truck of rock comes up every 20 minutes. That went on for nearly 2 weeks, for 8 hours a day. So see that number of trucks, of the weight they weren't the 16 size ones, they were the bigger 20 odd cubic yard type machine, massive things going up there. So that probably didn't do a great job, except it made a beautiful area up there in the woodland for them to do all their work. It was great. And then we had the logging trucks going up, and they were doing, I don't know the number, but it's definitely 2 or 3 of the big double-barreled logging trucks going up and down there for 2 months, basically. And then every day we had the chipping lorry, which was a massive lorry full of chips going up and down twice a day. So we had an awful lot of load on the road, and that may have contributed or it may not, who knows, technicalities, but I'm not sure it particularly helped the road for this year. So we've had a lot of extra traffic on it. So that may have been some of the cause. So just a request, if you could find your way to look at doing some sections again, it would be very helpful for some of us on the road, sure. I know the difficulties you're under, and we've had a lot of other places who had far worse than we've had during the summer, so we do appreciate your situation.
Right. Are we planning any work up there this year? No. As you know, we've done extensive work up there over the last year or so. And that logging operation is done, I guess. Right?
They were out of there before winter.
Yeah.
They didn't. They didn't affect the road any.
Not
there was
during the winter. No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were out of there before
they packed
winter.
up on November 1st.
Yeah.
That was their goal, is to get out of there before snow flew. My opinion, they didn't hurt the road any. There was one culvert that was failed, but it's nothing that they did.
Right.
And we got up there and changed it and worked
Lindsay's
around.
house there?
Huh?
By Lindsay's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't have anything planned for this year.
Well, I think it needs maybe a longer look at it. You'll probably hear from some other folks, but it probably is not something that you can patch repair without actually planning to do it. They did one section, you know how long the section was, so it wasn't, you might call it extensive, but it was I don't know, 100 yards, 100, 200 yards or something. One section of it that was done, and the rest I don't think there's been very much done. Just ironing out that swale and that first part with some real gravel in there, because I think you're dealing with mostly sand, what's left after all the years of pounding. So if that could be looked at, just that small section there, just to make sure that didn't fall in again. It looks as though something's happening underneath where it's forming this big dip.
Yeah, that swale by Guyon's comes back every year.
Yeah.
It's a yearly occurrence. It's just a huge frost heave. That whole embankment, the uphill side of that's nothing but clay.
Nothing can be done about it.
I mean, we could dig it down, close the road, put tailings in, but that's a long process on an extensive list of other work to be done. I monitored that road throughout mud season, and my coworker lives up there. We made sure it was passable by, all-wheel drive cars.
Yeah, I have an all-wheel drive car.
I mean, I drove up it numerous times after phone calls and emails and went up it in two-wheel drive.
You can't do it in a two-wheel drive, no, but even in the four-wheel drive.
I did it in the truck in two-wheel drive every single
Oh, you
time.
did in your truck?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Guess we all better go by trucks.
See, part of what we're up against this year too is that we've got a lot of FEMA work remaining to recover from the flood last year. So, I mean, our laundry list of projects that these guys have, as a matter of fact, that's one of the things that Maddie had put together with Josh for us to take a look at, but we're going to have to hire subcontractors to do some of the FEMA work because we can't get to it all with our road crew. So the chances of getting to any of that stuff during the course of this year is going to be pretty slim.
But is there a chance that we can see a plan for doing some work, and specifically what it might be for the following year, at least if you can't get this year, we start planning for it?
Yeah, just to put on the list. I don't know.
I mean, we can definitely look into it.
Sure.
It's, see what's in the ground there. There could be ledge in there, and
Yeah,
onto ledge and clay.
yeah.
And I know what makes it more difficult too, are cars nowadays are so much closer to the road. I mean, there's no clearance.
Oh, it's on-
He went on a two-wheel drive in a truck, which is probably 2 feet off the ground. You
I
know,
mean, it's not quite that high,
but it's a higher where you're
Well, the
getting,
ruts are 18
bigger
inches
tires,
deep.
bigger-
I mean,
right.
the year previous to that
Yeah.
you did it with it, I ground it out. I got, on my four-wheel drive, I think I got that kind of clearance on the bigger one. It's quite high. The whole foot then was on the hill, and just after that point too, actually. And I ground it out on the, slid off, trying to get down the middle of it, and I just ground it out completely, all four wheels off the ground, completely stuck. On four wheels that wouldn't bite. And I wasn't rushing down, this was just gentle driving.
Howard, you didn't go fast enough.
But then I looked at it, thought if I got any faster, I would have. I'd have been 6
I know it-
inches off the ground.
I know it's not, I know it's not funny. I know it's not.
But anyway, I mean, yes, they are low. And the answer is you've got to probably have a truck to get up and down that road in the winter now.
Yeah.
I do. But it's not
And
good.
I have to say, I think a lot of the roads in town, if they, maybe they haven't gotten soft yet, but they, like Q Vassar used to get really bad. I don't see that. Is it not done yet?
Well, a lot of it was rebuilt.
What? Well, that part, but I'm saying up and over by Vassar's and stuff.
yeah, at the very top, there's a bunch of ledge in there.
Some
We,
places just didn't
put-
get it.
that heaved up pretty good. We put some stone in there like we did on Tucker Hill. It probably took it a little bit better on Q Vassar than it did on Tucker Hill, but that, I know there's ledge in there where that comes, that big hump.
Yeah. So Josh will make a note of it and inspect it, but we can't guarantee that we're gonna do anything this year just based on the workload, you know.
Yeah, we've tried to keep it graded down to keep the ruts at bay. I know fuel trucks
You
and,
can't get in there, right? I agree. Unless it's frozen, you can't really grade it.
right, I mean, I can grade it, but it's gonna turn to slop, and if it doesn't freeze, then you really not gonna like me.
But that's again, it's the material that's there, I think, isn't it? It's really not much, it's all slop. Until the water goes away back to whatever the real mud
Yeah.
is, sand,
Yeah.
it's going to be that way.
Yeah,
The material, I think, is not adequate at the point.
yeah.
But we're the experts on that. Okay, that's my feelings about it.
All right,
I expect
well-
the others will come and say something to you at some point or another.
All right, well, thank you for coming down. And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or
I think you're a
totally up to you.
I'll listen to the first one.
Okay,
It's pretty
um,
heated, so.
Next item on the agenda is the Mad River Valley Planning District, Sam Robinson. Everybody knows Sam?
Yes.
Nice to see you all. The planning district. So you're gonna go over, Sam, the data report?
Yes, just going to be a quick overview of some of the findings from this year's report, and kind of just a courtesy to let everyone know that it's ready and available for viewing in its entirety on our website.
And we have a copy of that here, which is the town office copy, if anyone wants to take a look at it.
Just going to quickly do one thing.
Eve's not gonna know what to do.
I can switch back after to extend. Okay, just in case somebody noise, I'll put this up here. One sec. Perfect. All right, thanks for having me, everyone. My name is Sam Robinson. I work for the Mad River Valley Planning District. Since we got some additional guests here tonight, I'll just kind of give a brief overview of who I am and who the Planning District is as well. So in case some of you aren't aware, Planning District is a tri-town planning entity. We work with the towns of Fayston, Warren, and Waitsfield on a variety of different planning projects and initiatives. If you've been paying attention over the last couple months, some of the projects we've been engaged in are, for example, the Waitsfield Community Wastewater Project, helping a lot with project engineering, coordination and assessing the funding landscape. Also working with the town of Waitsfield and Fayston actually, because it was a consortium grant application on the Irisville Master Planning project that's going on to kind of look to assess what infill development could look like within Irisville moving forward, contingent upon the construction of the wastewater system. So those are just two examples of projects that we might be engaged in a given year. Another area that we are engaged in on an annual basis that's actually outlined in our memorandum of understanding with the towns, our member towns in Sugarbush, is data collection. So each year we collect, analyze, and share information ranging from population demographics to transportation data for the Mad River Valley region. We have a couple ways that we share this. One of the ways is by doing presentations just like this one, but we also have a full written data report. You can see one copy for the town to keep right there. It's chock full of information. To accompany that, we also have an online version of the information. It's a dashboard, interactive dashboard that people can access on their phones or computers to look at some of the, or most of the information that's contained in the full report. And like I said, this will just be kind of a little sampler of what we have in the full report, because I don't want to make you guys stay till 10 p.m. as has been previously discussed. So this will just be a quick overview of some of the findings. This is the Mad River Valley Vision Statement. I always include this in my data report presentations. I'm not going to read it to you in its entirety. You don't have to read it either, but I just want to make people aware of it because this vision statement was created in 2015 through a community process. It involved a comparison of each town plan, so Warren, Waitsfield, and Fayston town plan. It also allowed opportunities for residents to voice what they saw as kind of the core values of the Mad River Valley. So I think it's a really important tool to have when making any decision for the towns, but also when considering this data. It kind of gives us an idea of where are we doing really well and what are some areas in which we can improve in moving forward. So the general structure of the report is more or less as follows. It spans these kind of larger categories here on the left and then drills down into some of these smaller subcategories. Just to highlight again, this is an abbreviated version, so we might not touch on, in fact, we definitely won't touch on all these tonight, but they'll just be kind of bits and pieces that stood out to us while we were looking at this year's data. A little bit about the data sources that we use. We use high quality data that we can find at the federal, state, and local level. When we're using federal data, particularly the US Census Bureau, we try and prioritize decennial census data just because it's higher quality and there's a smaller margin of error, especially for rural communities like the Mad River Valley. But being that it's every 10 years, we have to supplement with other sources. A lot of times that's American Community Survey, which does have a higher margin of error, so I'll point that out when we're using it, just so you can be aware of that. So starting us off, I just wanted to start off with the population of the Mad River Valley. So this graph uses decennial census data ranging from 1960 to 2020. And what you can see right off the bat is the population of the Mad River Valley has grown over time. From 1990 to 2020, each town experienced between a 30% and 69% increase in its full-time population, with Warren experiencing the largest increase over that time. And when you take that as an average, it amounts to a 51% increase for the valley, 51% increase for the valley as a whole from 1990 to 2020. If you compare that to the increase experienced by Washington County during the same time frame, you see that the Mad River Valley's population is increasing a little bit faster than the county as a whole. To get a more near-term estimate, I have this second graph here. So what you're looking at here is a bar chart with 2020 decennial census in blue, so essentially where we leave off in this graph, those population estimates. And then in the yellow, we have the 2022 American Community Survey 5-year estimates to get kind of that near-term population change, because we're smack dab in the middle between the 2020 and 2030 decennial census. As I mentioned, these American Community Survey data points do have larger margins of error, so for each data point, I added an error bar, so you can see the low estimate as well as the high estimate. And to kind of contextualize what these errors look like from a real numbers perspective, if you look at Fayston here, the error in Fayston's data point is plus or minus 155 residents, so this would be like 155 residents lower, 155 residents higher. Warren's margin of error was the largest in this data set, and it had an error of plus or minus 305 residents. So the error is pretty significant, and you have to take it with a grain of salt when you're looking at this information. But if you take the midpoint of each estimate, what this would represent is a 10% decrease in the Mad River Valley's full-time population from 2020 to 2022. The reality might be, somewhere in between these estimates, but this is kind of the best metric we have until the next decennial census to see how the population has changed in the valley. And that 10% decrease is equal to 534 residents, with the lion's share of that coming from the town of Warren. So looking at the median age, as we saw on the last slide, the full-time population of the Mad River Valley has predicted to decrease slightly over the last couple of years, but the median age, this is decennial census numbers again, is rising. It's not uncommon for median ages to rise in a community, but what we see here is similar to the population changes experienced earlier in the presentation. We see that the Mad River Valley median age is increasing faster than the state and the country. Waitsfield's actually pretty close as far as the state's concerned, but then when you get up to Warren, you see some towns in the Mad River Valley's median age is increasing quite quicker than the larger region. And just for consistency's sake, I've also done the comparison with the US decennial census and the American Community Survey estimates. Nothing crazy to report here, but the one thing that I saw of note is while Waitsfield and Warren's median age has increased from 2020 to 2022, regardless of if you take the midpoint, the high error, or the low error for Fayston, it's actually showing a slight decrease in Fayston's median age. So we'll have to see if that continues or kind of monitor it over the next couple of years, just out of curiosity, but I just thought that was interesting, kind of combats the Mad River Valley's typical trend here. Normally we see it increasing. So this brings us into another section of the report, and that is the community social services section of the data report. And we're lucky to have a lot of community organizations here that are dedicated to supporting those in need. The Mad River Valley Interfaith Council is one of those. They do a lot of things, but one of the things that they do is they distribute emergency assistance funds to residents in need. And this graph is a stacked graph. It shows the emergency assistance dollars for each category that they have. And the stacked nature essentially represents the total annual assistance provided. And the reason I wanted to include that in this year's presentation is just because in 2023, we saw some dramatic changes within this section. To be specific, from 2015 to 2022, the total emergency assistance funds provided by the Interfaith Council increased by 240%. So a pretty dramatic increase within that time frame. But I just wanted to highlight, it looks like, at least in last year, this has began to kind of shift from 2022 to 2023. We saw a 55% decrease in the total emergency assistance funds distributed by the Interfaith Council. And talking to the Interfaith Council last year, but also this year, to kind of understand these fluctuations, what they told me is around COVID, they were receiving so many donations themselves that it just enabled them to give back to the community even more. So this decrease isn't too alarming because it's actually back to the level that they had consistently sustained prior to around the 2021 period, but it just might be they don't have that kind of extra padding to give more. We also saw a similar trend. Again, this is the also within the community social services section of the report. It shows the total annual visits to the Mad River Valley Community Pantry. And we didn't see a decrease from 2022 to 2023, but we saw a similar trend in the sense, in the last annual data report, we saw some pretty intense increases in the total annual visits from 2020 to 2022. I believe it was like 159% increase in total annual visits, whereas from 2022 to 2023, we see kind of level off. And if you recall, late last year, we put out findings from the Mad River Valley Community Wellbeing Survey. And one of the findings from that survey, it was the third year that had run, and there's a question in there that talks about respondents' likelihood to donate their time versus donate their money. And typically what we see in the Mad River Valley, at least amongst the respondents to that survey, in the years past, people were more likely to donate their money than to donate their time. Whereas in the most recent survey, respondents were more likely to donate their time than to donate their money. So just interesting to see this kind of perhaps parallel the findings from the Mad River Valley Wellbeing Survey earlier this year. All right, now I want to move on again into another area of the report. This is regarding our housing stock. So this graph here is a stacked graph. It shows total Mad River Valley home sales, and it has a category for vacation home sales and primary home sales. And in last year's report, what we saw is we haven't exceeded the peak, or for primary residence sales, we've yet to exceed the peak experienced in kind of the early 2000s, right around 2002, 2003. And we saw a low point around 2010, 2011, but then steady growth from 2011 to 2020. Within that time frame, the number of primary residences sold increased by 155%, and the number of vacation residence sales increased by 162% from that low point in 2011 to 2020. The thing I wanted to draw your attention to, at least in the more current term, is we start to see that drop back down. So from 2020 to 2022, or 2023, we saw a 64% decline in the number of primary home sales, which consequently, in 2023, we had the lowest number of primary home sales since 1988, so for the entire study period. And vacation homes experienced a decrease in sales as well. It was a 51% decrease from 2020 to 2023. The number of vacation homes sold in 2023 was below average. It was 110 versus the 25 primary home sales, but it wasn't the lowest throughout the entire study period. So it looks like the housing, home sales are on the decline, at least as of the last year or so. Oh, should have clicked those earlier, sorry about that. This is actually a new area of the report. It also has to do with home sales. And what you're looking at here is data from Vermont property transfer tax statistics. So essentially, towards the end of last year's report, I learned through a conversation I had with the tax statistics office that there's actually a way to track residential home losses versus residential home gains. So when you're filling out the tax statistics form, the seller fills it out and the buyer fills it out. And on that form, there's a question that says, me as the seller, what was your use of the property? And then I ask the buyer, what will be your use of the property? So if I marked it as a primary residence, but the buyer marks it as, I'm going to be using this as a secondary residence, that would represent a residential home loss, where the opposite would represent a home gain. So you can essentially start to understand, are we gaining full-time residents, or are we losing full-time housing stock? And when you zero in on the 2012 to 2018 period, you see for the most part, I've color-coded it, so a green is a gain, and red represents residential home losses. from 2012 to 2018, we saw either an equal number of residential home loss and gains or a larger number of residential home gains. And we start to see this switch from 2019 onward where we're seeing more residential home losses than residential home gains. To kind of add some numbers to this, let me see where I have this. So from 2019 to 2023, the number of residential losses amounted to 174 housing units, but the number of residential gains was 95 housing units. So the net loss in that case was 79 long-term housing units from 2019 to 2023. And this is for the Matador Valley as a whole, so not just Fayston.
Hey, Sam,
Yeah,
do those numbers include new construction, or are these just existing?
this is just existing.
Okay,
If it was like a new if it was relatively new but then resold, it
Yeah.
would be captured here, but if it was like a brand new construction,
It would not.
it would not be captured
Okay.
here.
So what happens if a second homeowner sells to a second homeowner, or a resident sells to a residence? Where does it appear on there?
It would not appear on here in
So
this
is it-
case. This is just like the transfer. We could do that analysis if you're curious, but this is just like the change between the two. Any other questions on this? Also, somewhat related to housing are short-term rentals. So we were curious to see how short-term rental trends have changed over the last couple of years. And what this graph shows are the total active monthly short-term rentals in the Matador Valley. It goes from 2018 to towards the end of 2024, and this is just whole home units. So it wouldn't be if someone's just renting out like one room of their house, but they still live in it. And what we saw is from January 2018 to towards the beginning of January 2023, there was slow but steady growth in the number of monthly active short-term rentals. Within that time period, 2018 to 2023, we saw a 33% increase in the monthly active short-term rentals, which would be equivalent to roughly 133 whole home units. But the part that interested me was when you zoom in on the more near term, if you look at January 2023 to January 2024, we saw a 42% increase in the active short-term rental units within just that year. So it's looking like short-term rental usage or short-term rentals are on the rise in the Matador Valley, is what this tells me. That we see, so over the whole time period from 2018 to 2024, there was a 72% increase in the number of monthly active short-term rentals, which is equivalent to 203 housing units. Warren, worth mentioning, is in the process of working on understanding its short-term rental market, which the Matador Valley Planning District is going to be assisting with once they're just finalizing their ordinance with Vermont League of Cities and Towns. But we've extended, if any other towns are interested in engaging this down the road, we're also willing to help whoever has the bandwidth and interest in learning more about this. I'm going a little bit over my time, so I might skip this one. Well, I'll go into it really quick. This is meals, rooms, and alcohol tax receipts for the valley as a whole. And I broke it out by first quarter and third quarter just to get an understanding and attempt to kind of create the summer versus winter comparison as far as our local economy goes. And what we saw last year is the winter receipts are a lot less stable. They fluctuate a lot. Sometimes it's oftentimes more than summer, as you can see, but it's all over the place, whereas the summer meals, rooms, and alcohol tax receipts were steady and slowly grew throughout the time period. The reason I included it in this year's presentation is just because of this, this last little bit here. What we saw is the winter receipts increased from 2022 to 2023, where the summer receipts decreased. And the reason that I bring this to your attention is because of another area of the report, which is the Matador Valley trail use. So we study trail usage every 2 years and Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission helps us out with this. And I just wanted to highlight something about the time in which these trail counts were conducted, because nearly all locations declined, but I don't think it's a super accurate representation of trail usage in the valley, just because the summer of 2023, especially towards the end, was, as many of you might be aware, extremely rainy. The way they do these counts is there's an 8-week period where they're rotating 2 counters between all of these locations. And to provide a little bit of context about the weather during the installation of these counts, let me see where I have it. So during the 9-week period that trail counters were installed, 42% of the days saw some amount of rain. For instance, when they were installed at Blueberry Lake and Revolution trail systems, 64% of the days received some rain, 29% experienced over a 1/4 inch of rain, and it kind of goes like that for all of the locations. So I'll be interested to see kind of how this changes the next time counts are conducted, especially considering all the investment with the rec hub and all the other great trail organizations that we have here. But just wanted to provide a little insight there in case you're thumbing through the report and had a question about that. And then the last thing I'll leave you off with and worth highlighting is in this year's report we also added a new category that we've taken information from the Vermont Natural Resource Council parcelization database to understand how our parcels are changing in the Mad River Valley. So in case you're not aware, parcelization is essentially taking one parcel of land and breaking it up into smaller and smaller pieces. And when we have the axis here shows parcels of different sizes and then the percent change in the total acreage for that category. So when looking at the Mad River Valley's change in acreage by parcel size, we see that a majority of our parcelization is occurring in acres, or parcels 50 to 100 acres and 100 to 200 acres, with the majority of the growth occurring in the 2 to 5 to 5 to 10 acre parcel range. We also explored change in acreage by parcel type. So we have the following categories here. Other is essentially, they classify as like utility parcels or just otherwise undeveloped open land. Woodland is where a majority of the parcelization is occurring in the Mad River Valley. And woodland is, for the most part, woodland, but it can include like small hunting camps. Basically, it's just not a primary dwelling or like any large scale development. But if there's like a little cabin, it could still be considered woodland. But that is pretty much all I had for you guys tonight. I'm happy to discuss any section, answer any questions. But thank you again for letting me have some time, and I really appreciate you having me here tonight.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. The question I have, Sam, we brought this up at one of our meetings, that, you know, the earlier graphs of population numbers showing them going down, and when we saw it go up during COVID, you know, with all the new people moving into the valley and the construction, that kind of thing. So that, I don't know, it seemed counterintuitive when you look at it. And of course, you know, there are people leaving as well, so maybe the number doesn't look as dramatic as it is in my head. But
You mean like the change from 2020 to 2022?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Well, I think people were selling, right? And maybe moving?
What's that?
The people that lived here may have been selling?
Well, that's
As
what
well, I mean, which
it
is
could
what
possibly be, yeah.
Oh, definitely what happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And it also kind of depends, like, given those error bars, like, if you take the, who knows, maybe the upper error is right. So that's the other element of the ACS that is just kind of unpredictable. It's like, if you take the midpoint, a 10% decrease is like, whoa, that's like pretty big decrease for 2 years. But if the reality is somewhere near the top of that, then it might, you know, maybe in reality it's like a 3% or 4%, or maybe it's a slight gain even. We'll just have to kind of wait and see, unfortunately.
Ron, so you would see that in your business, right? So there's a lot of that population that was coming in was replacing people who were leaving.
I just kind of know that from real estate, but most of our business is second homes anyway.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, some of them do become retirement homes,
yeah,
but they start out as second homes.
yeah, yeah. All right, any other questions for Sam? Sam, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for
And
having
thanks
me.
for doing all that work behind the scenes.
No problem. Here, I'll put these back to, there we go. Awesome. Well, hope the rest of the meeting goes great. Here we go. Here's the Zoom for you.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Okay.
See you
And
later.
I'll be seeing you next week.
Yep, see you
Thank
next
you.
week, Chuck.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is Mad River Valley Ambulance. Memorandum of Understanding.
Brought it, but then I also
Yeah, so
brought the changes.
I should tell you, I had a discussion yesterday with Sheila Ware. She had called me to see where we were at with the MOU, representing the ambulance service. And so I told her that our attorney has recommended a couple of changes, and we were going to vote on those tonight, discuss them and vote on which of those, if any, we want to adopt. Moortown, to my understanding, made some changes to the MOU they signed, so now there's a lot of different MOUs floating around, and it should all be the same document.
Right.
So what I agreed with Sheila when I talked to her is that we would talk about what changes we would make based on what our attorney recommends, and we won't sign this document right now. I'll get back to her and let her know what those changes are. They can incorporate them into the final document, and then all the towns, those that have already signed it will have to re-sign it.
Yeah.
But we don't need to sign it tonight.
Did we agree that that's an open-ended, that goes on forever, or is it a 10-year MOU?
We talked about that, but I
Because it
don't,
started out as 10 years,
yeah.
and I don't see where that's in there.
Right, when he came, it was like a 10-year thing, but then when they made the MOU.
And that could be forever, and we don't have a vote
Right.
on their budget.
So that's something that
That's like,
we
you know,
should
I have a,
just
I have a hard time with that.
make
Yeah.
sure
We
that
don't
they know
have
that.
representation on that board,
And that's,
but we're going to be obligated to pay our portion based on our population.
Right.
well, I guess obligated
Right.
depending on how we word this, right? And I think Jim Barlow's recommended wording, what did he say here?
Yeah, it's right here. Right here.
It was item number 5, right?
Yeah, right here.
Each year, the ambulance service will review its capital funding needs based on the approved 10-year plan, and if necessary, will request, well, he said not to use donation, right? Oh, this is the actual wording. You request a donation from each valley town to close any gaps in that capital expenditure funding. Any such request will be made in a timely manner so the towns and their select boards can incorporate the Mad River Valley Ambulance Service appropriation request as a line item in the town budget, or present the appropriation as a separately warned article for vote or approval. So I guess that doesn't get us out of it, it just gives us 2 options to fund it.
Right, and I'm just saying, let's say they decide to increase their budget a lot. They pass their budget, they're fine with that.
Yeah.
We're going to be obligated no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yeah, so I told Sheila that was a concern with our board, that we didn't have a voice at the table like we do with the fire department.
Right.
And the fire department, Mike, is not an official seat, but we sit down with them, and we have representatives who work out the budget with them, like you've been our representative for that.
Well, we approved their budget too, though.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
yeah,
appro-
yeah.
the board, we approve it.
Yeah, so what she said, their fear is that if they put a non-ambulance service member on the board, I guess Waterbury had problems with this, that there were people making decisions that weren't health-related. I'm not quite sure if that was the word that she used. So there weren't like doctors and ambulance service people making the decisions as to what their needs were. There were,
Yeah, well, we're not firemen either.
Yeah.
well, and that's what I told her. I said, you know, our feeling is we're giving you money to do those things. So, you know, so I don't think they're in a position where they want to have any other board members outside of,
They were clear about that.
yeah.
They were
yeah,
gonna give us a member on the board, but we couldn't vote.
Yeah,
So, you know, what good is that?
yeah. Yeah,
So,
so, I don't know, what's your pleasure? What are you thinking?
We need to have language in there that controls their budget.
Well,
If we're gonna be giving them money, we need to be, you know, making a decision whether we're doing it or not, based on the financial information that they provide to us and how everything's going.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, if they're requesting funds from the town, they can't act as a volunteer organization that they did in the past.
so not only that, so that plan that was presented to us was a 10-year plan. And to
Correct,
me,
yeah.
that was gonna run them enough money to be capitalized to buy their, as I recall, to buy their ambulances every so many years and do whatever, so they wouldn't need any more funding after that. I think we should put a limit on the MOU. There shouldn't be forever, because that wasn't the question they came asking. They came asking for 10,000 a year, or whatever it was, for 10 years. What was our portion, like? Or, do you remember?
9, is it like
What was
9
it?
or something? 9?
10 sticks in my head, but
I think it was 9.
Yeah, I don't recall what that total amount was.
I don't know, I just think it's like an open-ended checkbook.
Right,
I mean, they could come back and we could be paying 20,000.
Right, but that's why we just need to have a yearly ability to yay or nay the budget. Like with the fire
But
department.
each town? Yeah,
Each town's paying in.
yeah, but I mean, would it be that
Yeah, it could
2 out of 3 towns voted in and the other one doesn't?
That's why MOUs get very complicated.
Yeah, I don't think this one's simple.
so how do we want to pursue this?
I don't know. I'd rather just go back to, we suggested the MOU.
Yes,
Starters.
yeah,
I'd rather just go back to no MOU and just have them present us with something every year that we'd be obligated for that 10,000 for 10 years and be over it. What do you think? I don't mind the money, but I'm saying it could double, triple, quadruple.
It's just having no control.
Yeah, we don't even have, you know, we do have control over the fire department. Because we reserve money for the fire trucks and we sit down every year and we go through the budget and the line item
Right.
with someone from Waitsfield.
so one way I'm just thinking of doing that is in that item number 5. So it could say, any such requests will be made in a timely fashion or timely manner so that the towns and their select boards can decide whether to incorporate the donation request as a line item in the budget or some wording like that that says we get to make a decision as to whether or
It'll
not.
be included in our budget.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because you're right, the way it's,
Because they're still gonna be able to operate. Let's say we can't double our fund this year, you know, we can up it, but we can do this. But it was a standard amount every year in that presentation. I don't think it grew.
Yeah.
I think they, you know, made it equal every year.
yes, yeah.
Personally, I'd rather go back to that and have them ask or agree to it or whatever, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just leery about somebody who doesn't, you know, pay so much attention to the budget as we do. Especially when someone else is paying the bill.
exactly.
We answer to the taxpayers. They're not answering to anybody. Right, they're just asking to fund whatever their budget shortfall might, and they don't have a shortfall, mind you. This is all about capital reserve. They don't have a shortfall every year. They're just trying to accumulate cash so that when it comes time to buy an ambulance, they don't have to do a fund, go to the towns and say, we need an ambulance, we need an extra 20 grand, which I believe has happened before, correct?
Right, and we don't want that happening either.
Right,
No.
Because we want to have some ability to control the
right.
up and down.
We want to be able to reserve for a fire department or a fire engine or an ambulance. I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The other question, now that we're talking about it, that I have too, maybe you guys know the answer to this, but is it a rolling 10-year? Look, they presented to
That's
us.
what they're presenting in this, in the
And
MOU.
it was done
It
in,
was 10 years before, now
And
it's
this-
a rolling 10.
It's a rolling 10?
yeah. I think there's going to be because my understanding, maybe we need to have them back, is that at 10 years, they were going to be fully funded to be able to have those reserves to invest. Is that right, Mike?
I think that's what they said, but I think they would, I don't think they were looking out further than that.
I don't know how they could
I think they were
actually-
just
I don't know.
looking in the 10 years in the
Yeah, I
future.
don't know how they
Yeah.
could do that, but.
Yeah, that's the way I took it too.
But obviously, with this, it's going to be more than 10.
Well, we're going to be committed
Yeah.
Yeah.
for virtually forever.
Yeah,
And the fire department doesn't have the ability to get income like the ambulance. The biggest part of their income is from insurance.
yeah,
You saw that chart they had, right?
yeah.
It's a very large amount. What was it? It was a large percentage. So the fire departments don't have that ability. Right? Your house burns down or half burns down, the insurance company doesn't pay you for saving the house.
Yeah. So, having said all that, the other 3 towns are all on board, obviously, because they all signed the MOU. So, do we want to hold out to get some more answers to these
I
questions?
don't know. I mean, I hate to think that I'm voting for something because everybody else is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
It's not me.
Yeah, yeah,
But if I thought everybody in town wanted to do that, or if you two want to, then I'm on board, because we'll
Yeah.
stick together.
If we change the wording to give us an out here that says, they submit it, we get a chance to review it.
We get a chance to vote on it.
Yeah.
In our town. If we don't like it, then you gotta come back with a different,
Yeah,
A
and I think it should be each town.
So make it an article.
well,
No,
no. In
in
the
here.
MOU.
In the MOU, they need to present what their, capital funding request is, and we vote on it.
And and that's our way.
We'd be in.
Yeah, us,
Each select board.
yeah.
Yes,
But
yeah.
we could turn down our portion.
Yeah.
That's the way we get a vote on the budget. We're not gonna be allowed to vote on their budget, that's clear. But we could vote on our portion of the budget
And say we're not funding.
and say we're not funding it. And so they've got to conform, they have to be, makes them be accountable.
Yeah.
No?
And that should be. I mean,
It's just accountable.
we're giving them money. They should be accountable for it.
Yeah.
It's a very simple,
Yeah,
and I think that's fine. We do support.
Of course we do.
well, that's what I told her.
Of course we do.
Of course we do,
There's
yes.
a question there. We always
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
I mean, when they came asking for, it was 40, you guys said, I haven't been around that long, but we forked out 40 to help buy an ambulance.
Yeah.
Right? And I think they're trying to lessen that impact, which is, appreciable. I think we have to have some say.
Yeah. I think we just need to charge the 5 to state that.
So should I put it back on them to come back to us with some wording that accomplishes what we're talking
Or our
about,
lawyer?
rather
Well,
than
Jim
us?
provided wording.
Right, it just doesn't say like
Doesn't say that we have the ability to vote.
right. He changed some wording, but it doesn't say we have ability, but I could just ask him.
I think that would be a good thing.
If we just
To
ask.
our attorney?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
we want to put it in, I think we want to steer it,
Yes,
right? We don't want someone to steer it, because we could go around in circles.
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
can say, we
And
can give
I
it back to
think-
them and say,
I
this is
think-
what our word.
Yeah.
We should tell
Yeah.
them we want to have the ability to vote down our portion at a select board meeting,
yes.
basically.
And that's what Jim, you should tell
Or
Jim
approve,
Fowler.
let's do this,
Yeah.
or approve it. I don't want to say vote down. We
Ability
want
to.
the ability to approve
Yep.
the amount that we're being asked to.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Positive way to put that. I like that, yes.
Approve.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and, okay.
And I don't
so-
want to be the stickler, but, I mean,
I
I just think it's,
It's legit. Totally legit, yeah.
okay, all right.
Yeah,
And I'm willing to stand up for that too.
yeah. So I'll call her tomorrow, let her know that we're going back to our
Yeah.
attorney and,
And tell her how we feel.
yes,
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
she's a smart person, she will understand.
yeah. Well, like I said, when I
I'm
talked to
sure
her
the other
yesterday.
towns will appreciate that too. Maybe they're not looking.
Right.
Well, I'm
At it
sure
that way.
no other town is gonna say, no, we don't agree to that
Well, no,
aspect of it.
and I trust these people, right?
Right.
But things change.
Yeah,
You know,
Boards
People
change.
change,
exactly.
boards change.
yes,
Oh,
You know, and next thing you know, it's gonna be all paid, you know, and it's gonna be like, not 10 grand, it's gonna be 50 grand.
yeah,
It's gonna be a paid, you know, force, which
Yeah.
it could come to that.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
All right, well, thank you for that input. I'll get back to her tomorrow and let her know that's going back to the attorney, and
yes.
he's been pretty good getting back to us
Yeah.
anyway, so.
Yeah, right.
You still awake over there, Josh?
Yeah, for now.
We should have put you
Want a
a couple
coffee?
we should have flip-flopped those a little bit.
I lied to you, I said this would be quick.
That's all right.
Well,
He likes it.
Sorry about that. All right, so we're done with that?
yeah.
Okay. All right, so moving on to the road foreman update.
I've been in contact with Jay McDonald and Pike, getting bids on German Flats and Mount Ellen Road. I don't know, did you guys receive those in your email?
I did not send them
Oh,
to
you
them.
didn't send them? Okay.
Yeah,
I have those here.
I can send them to
Yeah, you
over.
can send them email, yeah.
Yeah.
We're
I
gonna
can-
have
yeah.
to figure that out.
So I talked to Josh a little bit about this. So they really have two different ideas what to do. Is that true?
Not anymore.
Not anymore, okay, all right.
I got them
On
doing
the
it.
same page, okay, that's
Yeah.
good, all right.
Price per ton's a little bit different between each of them. The quantity is different, tonnage, which I don't understand, but it is. Yeah, that's something we're gonna have to look into, because they're gonna be waiting.
okay.
I assume we're gonna move forward with that this construction season anyway.
When is that,
So, yeah,
what are the
they,
dates on that?
well, it wasn't the dates, Josh, you had said that one of them would before 4th of July and
Jay McDonald would be after, or no, was it
Before.
before?
after 4th of July.
After
where
4th
Pike-
of July. Pike would piggyback it on the slow road, because they're coming to do Waitsfield.
Right, yep.
So they were saying end of, right, before 4th of July.
Pike's price per ton's just a hair more than,
So we're ready to actually vote on, I mean, to approve this, right? It's been through the RFP and all that stuff. and-
yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit more than we had budgeted, but prices
We
went up.
did budget, but, so we would want to, what are they looking for as far as a date to actually sign on?
They didn't specify.
Was that
Because
on
we should
numbers?
actually look at those.
The approximate dates that he had?
Pike's
No, just
7
of,
days.
just the dates of when they would do it.
Right.
But
Okay.
I'll email you guys over those.
So I'm just saying we
Okay.
should probably
I mean,
act by the next meeting, right? Vote,
Right.
say yes.
do you guys, I can send them over and you guys can review them and then make sure there's no questions and then the next meeting say yes or no? Or you
Should
want to
we-
do it yes or no now?
Yeah,
We
that's an inch and a half shim and an inch and a half overlay.
All the way?
Yeah.
And the bad spots we take out?
Well, they're gonna fill those bad spots, but
I thought I read in here that we were,
I had said, Josh, because you had said that we might have to cut.
yeah, well, there's some culverts that
oh, culverts.
we should look into changing, especially on Mount Ellen Road. The ones on German Flats are fairly new, and they look
Well, the one we gotta take out's.
They look good. The one, there's a culvert on Mount Ellen Road where it's falling apart. I think it's a failed culvert. I think that's why it fell apart.
So it just says here, road crew would cut damaged pavement out and prep for new pavement.
Yeah, I'd have to rent a saw cut
But
that
that's
out.
just for the culverts.
Yeah,
Okay, so that didn't, okay.
Sorry, I might.
the rest of the work
That's
they
all right.
do.
That's good, yeah, because what I saw is, there's the portion right at the beginning of the North Road, I forget what it's called, but it's nothing but really but crunched up pavement and gravel,
On Mount Ellen?
yeah.
Yeah.
But they're
Yeah,
taking-
that's where one of the culvert
Oh, is
crossings
it? Okay.
is right where it's
Okay.
falling apart on that lane.
Okay, gotcha.
The other one is like a 30-inch culvert right at the bottom of Mount Ellen that crosses the Mount Ellen Road at the intersection. It doesn't seem to get much water because there was a 6-foot box culvert added to take the springtime runoff that takes all that water now. There is conduit and power running through our culvert for their sign. So that would be a whole ordeal, and they're poured head walls at that section. So,
So that's something we'd have to do before this.
yes,
Or maybe that's something that you do when we actually pave all of Truman Flats, and maybe not
No,
this
we
little
probably wouldn't
portion.
pave this
no,
portion,
we'd wanna do that before they do their work.
right, because we probably wouldn't repave that part.
Probably not, at least not Mount Ellen.
Right.
I did talk to Paul Lawson and Jay McDonald, and he said that we'd probably have to put some base down where we do the culvert crossing, which isn't in that. That would be an extra expense.
Does Pike know about that?
No, I haven't spoke with him yet about it. But it's separate. They want to do it as a separate job.
If we wait till the next meeting to approve this stuff, is that gonna give them enough time to schedule in the time frame that we need it done?
I hope so. I don't 100% know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be the 22nd.
I don't, the prices on the liquids change constantly, so I think after 7 days for Pike, they can adjust their numbers.
Right.
You know,
But I don't think anybody's gonna get going in the next
the
Yeah.
2
difference
weeks
is,
anyways, and it's gonna be a shorter, it's gonna be a lower volume year paving for everybody.
Right.
this is just a tonnage difference, really.
Yeah. And a slight cost per
Right, from
ton.
1153 to 904. That's all it is.
So we can wait till the next meeting, give us a chance to review this stuff, and then,
That's the one. Can't ask these people to adjust their number.
wait till next meeting?
What?
Give us some time to review this,
I think so, don't you?
and then
Yeah.
decide next meeting. Yeah, okay.
And I'm hoping to meet with Mike hopefully later this week up at our pit and figure out a plan up there.
Okay,
Figure out how much gravel we want to try to crush, depending on what we find.
Yeah.
I have 2 trucks hauling in gravel from northeast out of Barry or Graniteville
For
at the
Dunbar,
moment
for Dunbar Hill?
for hopefully North Fayston.
so that's already happening?
That's started Monday. They didn't
Okay.
haul today because of the weather, but,
Yeah,
and it makes the travel time longer, so to get the more bang for our buck, we'll do it on nice days. I got another quote on a truck body. We discussed changing the body on that 2017 Dodge because it's pretty rotten.
Yeah, the truck looks like it's in good shape.
The truck's in decent shape. I'd look into changing the pickup before that truck, honestly, with the amount of problems that we've had with that truck. The new quote I got is a place in Rutland, and it's all assembled, painted, put on, ready to go. All new hydraulic dump, everything, not using the old stuff,
Yeah.
for $88.77. Waitsfield just went through this company. They bought a new 1 ton.
Yeah.
Their price seems better than anywhere else.
I know we gotta do something. Have you seen it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the new.
Not much left.
$800 installation on it. And the deduction, if I use the original hydraulics on the truck, didn't really make sense.
No.
Because what they deduct off versus what they'll charge extra for adding old stuff to a new body, it didn't
Right.
make sense.
Yeah, it's your call.
I think that's the way to go. And these guys are good.
Yeah. I see a lot of their stuff, it's all airflow bodies.
We take it down there, is that it?
Yeah, bring it to Rutland, drop it off.
You can do that on the weekend side.
You want to do that on the weekend? What?
I said you can.
Good answer,
We just
Josh.
volunteering, man. I heard that.
Yeah, I've hauled that truck enough on my own time and dime.
All right.
Barton Road is all done, cleaned up. All that brush that couldn't have been chipped got hauled to our pit. I'm gonna start cleaning up Dunbar Hill
No.
until the
I
roads,
see that, yeah.
once the roads dry up and I can get trucks where I need to get trucks. Then I'm gonna move, well, I wanna finish Dunbar, getting that mess cleaned up.
Yeah.
Then I want to take gravel out of our pit, what we have up there, the crushed gravel, and do, we have some small sections on Farm Road, Fen Basin Road, Stagecoach Road, and Airport Road
Oh, airport.
that I need to button up for FEMA.
Which, right, that makes those roads complete.
But yeah, me and Maddie put together a whole list of
Yeah, that was a good list.
about 3 years worth of stuff for you.
I think it would be.
He kept writing me new stuff, I'm like,
That's because every time I open my eyes, something pops up.
we're driving on Airport Road today with FEMA, and he goes, oh, there's a gold road. I'm like, great, I gotta write that down.
We can improve on this layout by putting the duration.
Yeah,
Like, how long is it gonna take, yeah?
I don't know how much time you want to help with.
Saturdays and Sundays.
I don't have my
He's already
CDL, so I'm not.
Driving around on the weekends, picking up trucks.
I'm just saying that could be an important column.
Yeah, every time I start something, something else pops up that takes priority over it. Deadlines and timelines don't exactly add up, and
Yeah.
it's just,
Well, Dunbar Hill was a recent one, right? When we needed to get that cleaned up for FEMA.
yeah, I had 3 days, and that includes the
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
How many of
The
these
bats were
are
coming,
linked
okay?
though? Like,
Yeah.
no, you do, can't charge for it.
Well, I don't know, you have to,
You know, are many of them linked?
Would
That you have to do one
to do the other.
thing to do the other, you know?
I'd have to look at it a little closer and figure that out, but
Hey, Matty,
I'm
Yeah.
trying to do it in priority.
Yeah.
yep, when you update this, right, you can update this, can you just put a line through it rather than eliminate it?
Yeah, to like keep it so that we
can see
know.
it. Yeah,
What's
just
coming
keep-
off?
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
can still see it. Just put a line through it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And when we
Or I
add
can
stuff
just
to it,
add it to
do you want a
Oh,
different
no,
color?
we can keep adding stuff to this list. of
Oh,
crap.
trust me, that
Or-
list will get longer.
Ron, would you rather, like I did, like the completed? Do you want me to just move it?
Don't forget to put Tucker Hill on here.
Tucker Hill's on here.
Okay.
It's in the 3-year plan.
Just put every road on there.
Keep trying.
I tell you,
Give me about
I'm telling you,
20,000
the
yards of
road-
gravel.
North Fayston is great. Our road didn't break up at all this year.
No.
Of course, there was no logging on it.
It was the north, there was logging on your road.
No, I don't think you can call.
There was 3
that's not-
different loggers
Yeah,
on your
that
road.
wasn't much. I can tell you the trucks that went by, there wasn't many. But I will say this, when they logged that Big Basin log down there in the dip, you know,
Oh, yeah,
where they
yeah.
made that?
That was a disaster.
And that road has never broken up between, it always gets the sun, and that thing was a mess.
Well, this year I find most anything that's north facing took it the worst.
North Fayston did?
North facing.
Oh, north facing, okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, the south facing stuff, it
Yeah.
seemed to come out pretty quick, and dry up fairly quick.
Always does.
I mean, North Fayston Road, I just changed a culvert there the other day, and didn't want to, but I had to. It was a bit of an emergency, and I had a short period of time to make sure I got the bus through. But I dug all the way down through that and didn't find any frost.
Yeah. Funny.
So we have not heard anything about the ads that we put in for the temporary summer help?
No,
Nothing, huh?
nothing. I mean, Ron had a dream that somebody applied, but
Yeah,
it was just a dream.
and, well, I see that Waitsfield might have lost somebody.
Yeah.
They're advertising for the same,
Oh, I saw,
almost the same thing, they would like a CDL.
But that's full-time.
yeah,
Yeah, but they're looking for someone with a
I
CDL,
asked today.
yeah,
but willing to train.
yeah. So what are we gonna do with the roadside mowing? Just try to do it ourselves? I know,
Yeah.
I know.
I'll do it. Just kidding.
How do you feel about overtime in the summer?
I don't know, we can have a choice?
I don't know. It's if, I don't want to spend my whole summer doing it either.
Yeah,
But you have
yeah.
to have, you have to have a lot of time. You can't just go out with the mower and hit a section for 2 hours.
I mean, you can do a road.
Yeah,
The only way to do it is put it down and go.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, from a budget perspective, we had budgeted for that extra person coming on.
But not,
Nobody
nobody
wants-
like half the amount of time you
Yeah,
can spend on it.
Yeah, exactly,
Or less.
yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have to get a couple passes around town.
Yeah, we didn't even finish last summer.
No,
We haven't advertised lately though, have we? When was
I
the
mean,
last-
it's been it was 4 weeks in the Valley Reporter. It's still in the Waterbury Roundabout.
It is.
On
The
our
LCT.
website. It's on Indeed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I have a comment on that. This is someone that looks for jobs all the time. Nobody looks at the Valley Reporter that is looking for summer help. To be honest, I would say LinkedIn,
You know,
Indeed.
Yeah, it's on Indeed.
And 7 Days.
you know, somebody else that, we're always looking for help too, but we seem to find a good person and keep them stuff. I heard Facebook.
There you go, Matty, you got all sorts of friends.
We're on Facebook.
Well,
I know the younger guys in
We can just share the
In
Indeed
construction.
Yeah.
are getting some guys from Facebook.
If I had somebody that was interested, that was experienced, with close to 10 years experience, they can't do part-time, you know what I mean? They're only looking for full-time stuff. And I know we discussed moving it into full-time, but I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
It's hard to.
I think,
It'd be hard to pass up an applicant that was
Well-
qualified enough.
I was just gonna say, I mean, we said in our ads, for the right person, it could turn into full-time.
Right.
Well, I think we found the right person now.
Yeah,
We
we-
certainly would
Yeah,
consider,
I think it all depends on the interview.
yeah,
If somebody wants full-time, they have to come in and
Yeah.
convince us.
mm-hmm.
So,
I think we're in agreement on that,
Agreed,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, Josh, I'll share the Indeed post, and then you have to share it on your Facebook too.
no, nobody likes me. You got way more friends than I do.
so anything else that you have for us?
We got a hydraulic study back on a culvert we did that crosses North Fayston Road by Boyce Hill.
Oh, yeah. I heard
Actually,
Oh.
I have maybe a little update on that since I last saw you.
Please be good news.
So it's in the works because the state is so backed up. Tyler is actually Billings from Eastern Engineering, might be helping us with the hydraulic studies. It's like, we don't know yet. He's looking into all the details and everything. But it sounds like the state is like 12 months and then they're giving us like major changes. And so like this one that we already changed, it would have to be dug up and so.
In order to get FEMA to cover it,
Right.
it would have
To
to
cover it
meet.
once, we have to do it twice.
Right.
Right, so
But there's a little bit changes, like the one on this, sorry state if you're listening, but they're putting gravel in the one they're like requesting, right? You said
Yeah,
like
so the one I put in was 4 feet. It was upsized significantly to take the water flow. They're requesting a 5 foot with 1.5 foot of gravel laid in it.
The one that you just did?
Yeah,
Well, we did in like last fall.
yeah. at
Oh,
the end of-
that would.
No, oh yeah, no, not the one I just did
Okay.
emergency, no, the
one
other,
by Boyce Hill?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
So there might be a change of that.
It's
that
kind of
things might change.
counterproductive, in my opinion. You have a 4 foot corrugated metal pipe and you want to take that out, put a 5 footer in, fill it 1.5 foot with gravel.
In the culvert?
In the culvert. That's what they're,
Habitat for fish.
yeah, there's no fish in that, but that's what they want.
So there's a possible update that I will share as soon as we can. He just wants to look into all the details of that. He might take over all our hydraulic studies.
Oh,
So,
Is he gonna redo that one? All right,
so it may change the size of the culvert and everything?
because when I left off earlier today, it was like, you should get a quote from a contractor and FEMA will pay for it. Because to take that 4 foot culvert out safely, you're gonna have to over dig the hole significantly
Yeah,
more
to
than
get-
we did to put it in, to get that out. I mean, it's a brand new 4 foot culvert, they're not cheap.
Yeah. So what would we be losing from FEMA reimbursement versus what it's gonna cost us to,
so like right now it's put in as temporary work, the work that they did last fall.
yeah,
And to like finish out that project, we would have to complete that state standards of the H&H study. So we wouldn't get paid, like I don't think we're getting paid the temporary work right now. Like we have to wait until it's completely finished. And so
Then we get paid for the temporary as well?
that, right. But so like it would get paid for, but it's more time and material that,
well, that's what I'm thinking, right? And
It's a
I mean,
waste.
what's the wash on that, you
Well,
know?
then we get paid for that from FEMA, the new one.
correct.
So we get paid for the new one and the temporary, but we don't get paid until the new one's done.
I mean, right,
So you could contract that out.
could, yes,
And that way, you know, FEMA would pay that and the temporary.
right. Which is what Tyler's gonna look
Are you
into
saying?
everything to see if
Right,
it's worth him getting involved or not. So
Right.
he was great today when Sarah talked to him.
So we just have to see what he says.
Yeah,
Yep.
he said he'd get back to us. He's supposed to meet with you on Thursday. So,
At least it's him, not me. I think that's everything at the moment, you know. I'm gonna go check out Tucker Hill on my way home.
It's money.
Yeah. I got a lot of mud right now. Snow didn't help us any at this moment.
no,
But
no.
yeah, we'll try to keep you guys getting up there as best we can until we can do something a little bit more permanent.
It's a big job to do the whole thing.
It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
You know.
I appreciate the pressure that you're under, what you've got to do.
Yeah.
It's a growing list.
Speaking of long lists, thank you for pulling that together, both of you. That's very helpful to have that.
Are we taking it to
that
bed with
information.
You like dreaming about this stuff? That's the last thing I'm wondering.
I'm waiting for it.
Okay, so that's it, Josh?
That's it.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you for that.
Well, thank you, everybody.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you for coming.
Good to see you.
All right.
Thank you.
Town garage discussion.
oh, fire
Fire
truck.
truck.
Fire truck.
Fire truck, I'm sorry. It's a good thing there's other people here to keep track of my
What's the
mistakes.
discussion on that? We know what our share is, right? You know, that's a crew cab or whatever.
Yep.
It's a 6, I think that eliminates the pickup. No?
Well, it eliminates them driving to the
Wait, but I'm
scene.
saying, they were talking about a club cab pickup.
I don't think it gets rid of that either, but
No, I think they're talking about both of them.
Both of them, oh.
Well, because people were going to the fires in their own
Right.
vehicles, and they're trying to stop that.
Right.
Because damage typically occurs
Well, it's insurance too.
and then the insurance is
I
paying to
got
fix
I got a
people's
truck that's got a
vehicles.
couple dents in it from that. Not mine.
What are they replacing, engine 5? Must be, yeah.
Did engine 5 have room for people in the back too?
No.
No.
So this is additional.
Yeah.
Engine 5 and 6 are single cab.
The way it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Do they have room
Yeah,
in their buildings for
I
this?
asked that Jared, I haven't seen him yet. It fits.
Yeah, because their building's long. You know, they have that whole area behind the trucks.
Right, where they do their meetings.
Yeah. So they're gonna cut down. on it. It's not that much longer though. Yeah.
Right.
I think the body's, the back's shorter.
I tend to see a lot of those crew cab trucks, you know, when you're in a rush to get to a scene, waiting around for people to show up on a volunteer department. I understand them when you're a staffed department
And everybody gets in.
and everybody
Right.
gets in, but on a volunteer department,
It's
you're
like-
waiting for people to go there.
Right, the ambulance sends first responders in their car and that'll never stop.
No, they can't. They can't. They can't stop doing that.
All right, so the mission at hand is, we received or Maddie did receive a note from the
Waitsfield Town.
Waitsfield, yeah, town clerk, right?
Town
Is York
administrator.
the town administrator, is that the official title?
I think so.
And in the notices, I spoke with Chief Young last week. My understanding is if we've placed the order for the fire truck before April 10th, the company is offering a $20,000 discount to help offset potential fluctuations in the chassis costs, which won't be finalized until the order is placed. The Fayston Selectboard will be discussing the truck at this evening's meeting. They did meet, they discussed the situation and voted to have the fire department move ahead with placing the order. So they're just waiting for us now to do it. My understanding is there's no money that's going to change hands until the truck arrives, which is probably, what, a year or two out now?
I'm not sure
No, I
with
think
fire
it's
trucks.
like, yeah, I think it's like 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years
I was
out?
gonna say that was 3.
Well, you'll get the cabin chassis, but then it'll
Then
go
that's
to
a big bill.
DeSorcies to
Yeah.
get a body built,
Yeah.
which is probably the longest process. I mean, it's the same kind of similar process for our trucks.
Yeah,
But longer.
yeah. So what we're voting on tonight is just to allow them to move forward with placing the order.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna have any financial ramifications for a couple, 2-3 years out. And our piece of that, just so we're all aware, it's a total price of $570,749, and our piece is $228,299, so, and 60 cents. So, do we have an motion to allow the fire department on our behalf to move forward with placing the order?
I would make a motion to have them order the truck.
All right, Mike, thank you. Ron, second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay, well, thank you. We'll be happy to move forward with the new fire truck. All right, now the town garage discussion. So Josh, so when I originally, well, there were 2 things that brought this up. Number one, I think kiddingly, the Waitsfield Select Board new chair asked me if there was anything that we thought, had we been talking at all about anything we could do both towns together with regard to the fire, with regard to the town garage situation. And I told him we've had discussions about this before, and that we really weren't interested in combining the 2 towns in a single garage. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's,
I would agree with that.
I would agree.
yeah, that was the discussion. So then he said, well, are there other things that maybe we could combine, like ordering, other things to think about where we could save money by doing some things together? I said, I'll put it out there. I don't know of anything offhand. I don't know that we need to decide anything tonight along those lines, but he just wanted to put that out there, this Brian Shoup.
Yeah, I mean, as far as ordering equipment, it doesn't, we're all on different rotations, so I don't think we could save anything there, nor do I think buying 2 pieces of equipment, we're gonna save anything anyway. You know, a big company like SD Ireland orders 100 pieces at once.
And they do it every year.
Yeah, you know, they have trucks for the next however long, but, small things like cold patch and stuff, I know we can get discounts if we piggyback on each other in order. Unfortunately, this last go around, they got a shipment, then I decided I needed a shipment. So it didn't really work out that time, but moving forward, we can definitely communicate and try to,
That would be, yeah, worth it, you know?
yeah, you know, there is some savings
Yep.
in places.
Blades.
I don't know, on plow blades, no, we get them through Viking and Williston.
Who are they using?
Huh?
Who are they using, do you know?
Viking,
They are,
but you go there, you get them, they're $200 a foot.
so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, the price of carbide's pretty much set.
Yeah.
I know I'm close to my blade budget, but I have some in stock in our shop just because of availability issues for the upcoming fall and into early winter. I didn't want to get there and not be able to
Right.
get the product.
There's no savings in things like salt or chloride or,
No, because salt's a contract that you sign every year for tonnage.
do they deliver or we go get it?
They deliver. It's through Barrett.
Right, so I just, I wonder though, the bigger,
Maybe hydroseed. We might be able to save something. We both get it through Oliver Seed. But yeah, small things like that. I mean, I say small things, but hydroseed's expensive.
Yeah.
It's not a cheap material to use. It works great, but it's not cheap.
Anything, like any large items that you were thinking of purchasing that may be impacted by these tariffs that are?
Well,
No.
I mean, next year I don't really think it's anything this year, unless we want to trade the pickup in before all this stuff goes down. It's got
Yeah, we have to do
71.
that this week.
71,000. I can go tomorrow. Well, that thing still
the
runs.
truth
You have
is,
a
it's
big
not-
list.
It's not gonna affect most of the equipment we buy.
Trucks it will. Trucks are gonna go up.
Loader will, I bet. We're due for a loader,
Yeah, it's
26.
just like, it's too chaotic right now. to
Right, you're
really
never gonna be able
understand.
to pick the right thing anyway.
No,
Yeah.
no, right now, we're fine till next year, as far as equipment goes. I mean, we pushed back the 2017 Dodge, I think, was that this year? That we were gonna replace it, but we pushed it back,
Yeah.
and we're gonna do the body on that. Dump trucks, nothing this year, and loaders next year. Mm,
A
Probably,
lot can change between now and next year, so.
right,
Yeah,
you know,
I think it will.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it will.
yeah.
I think the pickup is the only thing.
Your favorite pickup?
No.
So then the other part, apart from that discussion, but just talking about the town garage that I was thinking about, I remember you saying that, maybe with some work inside, we have enough space that we really don't need to get a new garage.
No,
So
I mean,
thought-
everything fits, so.
So I walked around a little bit, and I think Mike and I still have to do it. But I think, the bones in that thing are pretty good. I mean, we're missing windows, we're missing some stuff that, we could make that garage bigger easily. It goes back, we got that wood shed on the back, they used to have the wood boiler. I mean, we could take another frame, right? We
Yeah.
still make those things and go, I don't know how far apart they are, you can make it, like, are those 30 feet apart? How long is that garage?
Yeah, it must be, I think there's only,
They're at least 20.
is there 4 of those
That's
frames?
what I was gonna say, 4.
I think there might be 4.
So there's 20.
Yeah.
That's roughly
You
60,
could add
yeah.
20 on and not even disrupt anything, and everything fits in right now, but I think we can shore it up, we can do a
Yeah,
lot
if
of
you go
things.
20, they're gonna come around and go in the pond.
What?
Yeah.
If you go 20 feet backwards, you'll be in the pond, the fire pond.
I don't think so.
You could only go 20 feet back on the main garage. You couldn't go
Yeah,
20
you
feet
can't
back
go
on the
on-
lower
you
part.
can't go on the
s-
lower one.
The septic's right there in the back.
On the
No.
back.
But yeah, that's,
But I mean, building's expensive.
Yeah.
You know, it is never gonna get cheaper.
No.
And, you know, look what Warren's going through.
I was
They're
gonna say.
trying hard, and I think they're up to 12 million or something.
I think
5
making
million on the
it
road.
more efficient is the next step.
And,
Yep.
and I think we can. The RFP limit is 7,000. There won't be anything that costs that much. I think the final straw to fixing this thing up would be to go in there and take off all the fiberglass insulation and spray foam in it.
yeah.
And then putting fire retardant over it. You can't just leave spray foam open. You know, we cover it a lot with drywall and stuff, but with that, you put a fire retardant over it and you're good to go. I mean, the steel is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
I
all
didn't notice a lot.
tin on the inside.
What?
It's all tin on the inside.
Yeah. So I just, you know, I mean, I think we can do it and make it, I mean, Josh already picked up a lot of it. I mean, I looked in some spaces that are cleaned out now and.
Yeah, like the closet.
Well, no, we're gonna go after the, you know, some other things too that we, you know, like the bathroom, that's like unusable.
Yeah.
Unusable.
Well, no, the
We have-
closet that in the low bay space that cleaned out,
Yeah.
that came out great.
Oh, in between the bays,
Yeah.
the old office?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, it's just, I think we can, well, we gotta be active on it and get it going.
Yeah, Tony and
I think-
I
I
went
think
in
the
there and
windows
built
are-
shelves and.
Yeah.
Should we pull that committee back together to look at it from that perspective
I don't
instead of from a new
I don't
building
think so.
perspective?
No, I think we should.
I think we just
knock
go
out.
at it,
Just do it on our own?
yeah.
Okay.
And I've already contacted a roofer. We have to flash between the two buildings before we can foam, you know, even though.
You don't want the foam popping out the roof?
Exactly. And so,
mushroom.
and so once we do that, and then we get someone there to measure for some windows, try to fit in what, in the opening, right?
Yeah.
Where the plexiglass is, or lack of plexiglass. Because we gotta have light in there.
I mean, we
can't-
can cover over those windows and it needs new lighting in the downstairs
And
anyway.
Maybe that's an option too. Maybe we
And-
just screw tin over them and,
Yeah,
I don't know, I
foam
was
them
kind
in.
of thinking windows, but.
It doesn't,
We can play that option, right?
yeah, I mean,
If
it
we can
doesn't
still
really
buy
matter.
If we can still buy the
You
siding.
guys don't look out the windows
That's
in
what
there?
we need to know. It's got the same profile to cover up. windows.
Not down there. But, I mean, Carrie Hill usually does all of our electrical, so.
Yeah, lighting would be key. You probably could save some money.
They're not cheap to have put up. We did new lighting upstairs a few years ago, but it, gotta have it.
Do you have LED in there now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, so you won't save much on that.
Oh, on the lower one?
Yeah.
No.
No.
On the
The upstairs, the new ones we put in are LED. The lower ones are not.
So I think, Chuck, we can do that. You know, it's just, we
Okay.
gotta make it happen.
Okay. Because the only reason I ask is I see Jared every now and then, and he asks if we're, you know, still interested in redoing that committee and.
Yeah, he stops in from time to time, checks.
Yeah.
I can give him a task.
I was gonna say, just,
Give him what?
A task if he wants to stay
I think that's what you just need to give him.
Something other than the garage.
busy. No, in the
No,
garage.
it's not at the garage.
I could stick him on, going after somebody
Yeah.
to get it to happen. It won't take much to make it tight.
No.
They got that back door that's never been serviced.
The bay door?
Yeah.
The
The one,
gar-
no, the one way in the back. Not the one that Stuart hit, but the one on the one.
Oh, yeah, the overhead door
Yeah.
in the back. Yeah.
And honestly, they're quite, it used to be hard to get them, you know, the service guys or whatever, but Limoges is like, nobody's that busy, quite as busy as they used to be.
I mean, that whole door needs to be replaced.
Well, then we get a price on it, we figure it out. You know? Might have to get an RFP on that one.
Yeah. I think last time Stuart checked, it was like 10 grand or
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
That would make,
ridiculous number, because we bought
well,
one.
it's not ridiculous.
We bought one, and it's like 3 grand. And then we went the following year to buy the other one, and it like tripled in price.
No, yeah, 14-foot doors north of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
Okay. All right, so that's it, town garage.
Sweet, I'm going home.
All right, see you later, Josh.
See you guys.
I don't blame you, thank you,
Let
Josh.
me know towards the end of the week.
Yeah.
When you do those bridges, if you want to meet up with me, just give me a call.
Yep.
Awesome, thank you guys.
Thank you, have a good night.
You too.
All right, next item, SB meeting. It says May 14th, but it's actually the May 13th meeting
Yeah,
that
whoops, I messed
so
that
is
up.
this
we're
the one-
talking about.
Is this the one you're gonna be gone, is that it?
Yes,
May 14th.
I could,
May 13th, my bad.
I could do it on the 12th, but
Oh.
then we've got a conflict with what, planning commission, I guess, and then you wouldn't be able to record it, and so, I mean, the option is we could just leave it on the 13th if you two guys are comfortable just covering that meeting, because I'll be gone then.
Ron, you had said that you were gonna be gone? Or you?
I don't know when I'm gonna be on. I think I would be back by the 13th,
Okay.
because Freddie has a planning commission on the 12th, and she's not gonna miss one.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say I'm gonna be here.
Okay.
Are you here?
I'm here.
So we just leave it at the 13th?
And you can't do the 14th because you gotta be gone.
I'll be leaving the 13th,
13th, yeah.
yeah.
So we can just do it the 13th.
We'll just do, yeah.
The
Yeah.
show will go on, Chuck.
What's that?
I said the show will go on.
Keep a light
right.
agenda.
We'll make it quick.
What are you implying?
The Red Sox are gonna be playing that night.
It'll give Mike a chance to bone up on his chairman skills,
Oh, God.
his assistant chair.
Okay.
All right,
So it's May 13th.
so we'll leave it as the 13th.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right, excess weight permits.
Oh.
We have,
Here's the list of.
the list is Stuart Hallstrom, Barrett Trucking Company, Iron Box LLC, N. Pizzali Trucking, Suncommon, Crispien's, and Bethel Mills. Okay, and I'll sign all of those. They just keep on coming.
Yep,
Did you do this while we were in the meeting?
I did.
Thank you.
But we can look at the, we don't have any other business, right?
No. Need mail and sign warrant. The only thing for mail,
And maybe we can do the,
yeah. Mike, I wanted you to look
warrant,
at this.
too.
Is
Yeah, I
something
was gonna
with
say
the
we can-
gravel
We can
pit
look at the warrants, trade back and forth.
that came in the mail.
So we do fill this out every year,
Okay,
so there should be one from
Okay.
sometime about this time last year that
okay,
Patty had filled out.
okay,
And it's
It's a small one, this,
just how much we took out of the pit,
okay.
so it's, we just
Just,
send it.
okay, perfect. I can.
Matty.
I have them all.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pretty light, I mean, I'm used to the ones for the flood. When it was just rolling out. Is there much in this?
Did you bring copies of this?
I did.
Oh, excellent.
And I could run up and make
I
some. I
don't know
didn't
if
know if everyone wanted one or what.
Yeah, I don't know if Ron might, but
Do you guys want a copy of this
Oh,
for the review?
This is for
the-
executive session?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just make it a copy. Almost done. You have to go home.
It was a long one. Thank you.
how often do we pay Eve? Did she just submit a,
Yeah, she just submitted one. I think it's not like on a regular
yeah,
basis. I think
whenever she
she's-
accumulates
yeah.
enough time, okay?
All right.
Okay,
Yes, it would be,
do we have a motion to go into executive session?
I move we go into executive session.
All right, Ron,
Second that?
Mike second, all in favor?
Right?
Aye. So at 7:40 or so, we go into executive session. So, Mad River TV, we're already...
Recording stopped.